Hello and welcome to Producer Profile. Producer Profile is a show where we showcase some of the talented people who work behind the scenes in the entertainment, business, and local communities while making positive influences on the lives of others.
Hello, welcome to Producer's Profile. My name is Orville Nelson.
I'm Stella Winston.
And we have I think it's a warm show. It's something very personal for me. Today we have Edna and Sydney Moshette Jr. Now tell me, what is the name of their particular program? Sydney, Edna has one.
Edna has an upcoming show called Spectrum, and Sydney has a show called Bedford-Stuyvesant
and Beyond. Yes. Mm-hmm. Welcome to the show, Edna and Sydney Moshette Jr.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Welcome. Stella, how are you?
We're very good. We're very happy to have you here in the studio with us.
We're happy to be here with you.
Okay. I wanted to, did you have anything you wanted to ask them right off the top?
Well, right off the Edna, you are a new producer here at BCAT, and you are getting ready to produce your first show here, but you've had experience working on Sydney's show. But what is, your name of your show is Spectrum. What is that going to be about? What will that be about?
Well, it's an interesting question. It's probably going to be about the things that I get a lot of joy from, and a lot of it is about health, but mostly around what people are doing in the community of Brooklyn. And so it can be in any of the areas, in politics, in health. And so I'm excited about it. And I guess vague as a new producer, and so as I go towards my first show in Spectrum, you know, I want it to be special, because I've had a special time with the courses at BCAP, becoming a producer. It's been a good time for me.
Now, you've had experience, she's had experience, right, Edna?
Oh, yeah.
Working on Sydney's show.
On Sydney's show.
Yeah. And you've hosted some of his shows, is that correct?
What role, or did you say, will Sydney be playing?
Sydney will probably help me produce the shows. We'll probably sort of be the first crossover producers, having two different shows, but being on air host on any time we're needed. That's usually how. Like the first shooting that I had done and beginning to do, my first and second guest fell apart, and then he, as a producer, was able to get me my third person, and that was the shoot that we're going to do this week.
You know who they remind me of? We interviewed them not too long ago, Eric and Monique Pryor.
Yes. They're another BCAT.
Oh, that's a handsome couple.
Yeah.
Well, you're a handsome couple.
Yes, you are.
And I'm curious, how long have you folks been married?
32 years?
33, yes.
Yeah.
I feel like applauding.
This poor man's been married all his life.
Yeah, it's really nice to have you folks here.
So they're entering a new phase in their marriage. You're both going to be BCAT producers, and that means that have you discussed how you're going to keep that separate that in the marriage, or is it going to be separate?
From the marriage?
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's just part of life.
Okay.
We just continue day on, try to unscramble things and be resourceful.
Well, when we were speaking to another couple that we interviewed, they say that they do the production, the post-production, and they do the pre-production, and they do the show, and they keep it very separate. Is this something that at home you will be communicating about the show and conversing together about the show? Is it something that you will do, or you do right now?
Probably. We tend to do multi-stream tasks of, if anyone is listening, it's very difficult to keep up. And our children sometimes listen, and they can't understand what we're talking about, since it would leap to something that's not even on the scene. But we, unfortunately, we both understand each other after a minute pause.
It's not separate. It's just part of our life. We both have layers of issues and things that we're involved with, and those things have come into play in becoming producers at BCAP. I think when I did the show that you have a clip of 3 authors, writers, what was interesting is that I had worked with one of the young women who was on the show. We'd worked in another lives, and so your lives keep intertwining. So it's right in saying that you can't separate it.
For you, it's not separated.
No, it's not.
It
not
flows
separate.
between.
It flows into the relationship. It's our resources. It's not his resource and my resource. As I was looking for music, trying to find music for the show, we talk about different kinds of ways that we can do it, and many BCAT producers talk about getting original music, so the issue of copyrights and whatever, trying to do that, and that happened in conversations with each other. And when I do my music for the show, it'll probably be trying to do something that's new and unusual and something that has not been done. He's the adventurer. I'm the one that's a little more conservative but I've learned, and we've learned over the years to, you make a mistake. There were erases on pencils. You make a mistake, you stop the taping, you make a mistake. So it's not making a mistake, it's really learning from the experience and being willing to flow with it and being willing to be surrounded by lots of good people.
That's
will
very
help
important.
You. Yeah.
Surrounding yourself with lots of good
With talent.
With talented
yes.
people. Right.
Now, we have a video of, I believe this is the video of you
The
interviewing
three authors?
The three authors,
interviewing
right.
the three authors.
Oh, I see.
Okay, so
This is
let's go
Becky
to the
Stuyvesant
See the
Beyond.
tape.
Yes.
Okay.
Edna Moshette, and I'm going to be your hostess for this afternoon's. I'm hoping to be the most exciting afternoon that you've had. I'd like to introduce our panelists. Over to my extreme right is Gloria Millette, who's the author of We Practice to Deceive and Shades of Jade. Hi, Gloria. How are you? Sitting next to her is Dan Holly. He is an author of Sometimes You Get the Bear. Is that right, Dan? And he's a newspaper editor who grew up in New York City.
Yep.
Welcome.
Thank you.
To my left, it's Carl Weber, who is a author, writer, entrepreneur, and has recently been cited by the Blackboard's Bookseller of the Year 2000. Is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay. I'd like to open up today's discussion with a general question about your inspiration and how you use the city that we live in and included that into your characters and into your themes for your books. Gloria, let's start with you.
Oh, okay. Well, it's simple I guess, to be a writer living in New York City. I mean, there is a story every single day. I mean, a lot of us can actually just look at the news or read the paper. So much is happening. I always wanted to write, and I was an avid reader, probably 2 or 3 books a week. But, after a while it was like, geez, I could write this story, and I would do it this way and that way. And that's what I eventually started doing. And actually, when I hear tales now, don't tell me anything, because right away my mind goes, ooh, that'd make a good story. Ooh, that'll make a good title. And living here in New York and in Brooklyn specifically, for instance.
Now, I worked on that with you on that show. Quite good. Thank you. Now, there was some other things because this show is just 28 minutes, and there's so much that you folks are a part of, and there's a history that you have in the community. And I wanted to find out, you're at Medgar Evers, what capacity?
I work in the freshman year program as a counselor, and I've been there since '88 with a variety of titles, but where I am now is in freshman year, and we work with incoming freshmen for 2 semesters and to give them a good start on their academic road to success.
How long have you been with Medgar Evers?
I've been there since 1988. I started working in the Center for Women's Development with Sophia Bendelli, who is sitting, I think you have another shot, and sitting is interviewing Sophia. And I talk about the circle. We always have a circle and a network of relationships and institutional circles, because I know Sophia, I know you from BCAP, you know someone from the fraternity, you know someone from the church. That's how we plan really to do the show, talking and sharing with the community the things we are involved in and the things we really are excited about, because Brooklyn is a really rich cultural center, and it's exciting, and people are doing exciting
Now, you just
things.
mentioned fraternity. Now, Sydney Moshette Jr., you belong to a fraternity. Which one is that?
Phi Beta Sigma fraternity,
Yes.
established 1914. Yes.
And in terms of the year that you, do you remember the year that you became a part of Sigma?
1952.
1952.
May.
Now, I'm not sure if I'm going to say it anyway. Your son is also a part of Phi Beta Sigma.
Yes, he is. Sidney III is the chapter president of Kappa Beta Sigma chapter. That's the Brooklyn graduate chapter. And I'm a member of that chapter. So.
I feel so, I don't want to get cheesy and corny, but I feel so blessed to be in your presence. You're a mature couple. You've been married for 32 years. You're vital, and you're still doing so much, and you're still involved in the community. I worked on a show the other day, and I found out that you were a part of the Parks and Recreation in terms of bringing it to Von King Park.
Tompkins Park Cultural and Recreation
It was
Association.
Tompkins. Von King used to be Tompkins.
Yes.
Okay.
Right.
Just give me a few minutes on that, please.
Well, during the Lindsay administration, the Tompkins Park Recreation and Cultural Association, under the leadership of Elmira Coursey, made certain demands on the administration, and they were very responsive. And out of that effort, which spanned a concentrated 3 or 4 years, came the Kosciuszko Pool, the Cultural Center in Tompkins Park with the Eubie Blake Theater, and the new library on Myrtle Avenue, DeKalb Avenue, between Bedford and Nostrand. And so that was a tremendous boost to the community.
Yes, it was, and I'm quite impressed, like I said earlier.
And there's another story. We can continue that.
Oh, we don't have to bring them back.
Alma Carroll was very much involved in that. She's now the spirit behind the Central Brooklyn Jazz Festival, which is now in its second year.
Okay. Now, we have some video here.
Yeah, we have something that goes back a couple of decades.
Oh, okay.
And this is...
Are you going to read this?
Okay, this is on Stump and Stumpy. Have you ever heard of them, Stump and Stumpy?
Have they heard of them? Have they heard of them?
Well, I've never heard of them. And
That's
most
okay.
people I've been asking about, they've never heard of them. They were a comedy team, right?
And they were a dance team, right? Both comic and
And
dancer.
they were supposed to be as better than Abbott and Costello and Lewis and Martin, who were very popular. But you don't hear Stump and Stumpy.
I would see them at the Apollo Theater. And they were one of the top dance groups, so to speak. They came out of the 30s and 40s. Now, after them came the Step Brothers. And they got the television exposure. And of course, they went into greater notoriety publicly.
We have a clip
And
here.
but we are also going to see Count Basie.
Sure,
So I want to
yeah.
include that. I think
Talk
Count
about culture.
Culture. So Count Basie first, and I think Stump and Stumpy after that. So let's go
The
to
kid from Red Bank.
Okay.
Yeah.
Red Bank.
Yeah. Red Bank, New
And
Jersey.
then out there were no like rookies in most of these movies.
If you rhythm best, you're robbing, and you like it nice and jumping. How you do? I'm Stump, and William got springs to sell.
I worked with Stump and Stumpy in 1955 with my brother in Las Vegas, the Moulin Rouge. And I remember thinking that Stump and Stumpy, they're like Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, only different.
There's no comparison. Stump and Stumpy sang better, danced better, funnier, everything. They killed Martin and Lewis. Black people knew it, but the shame is that America didn't.
The timing, the skills, they had a real great chemistry together.
bop.
And they start riffing and they get the swing going. He had that great rhythm section. Freddie Green playing the guitar and Joe Jones on the drums, Walter Page on the bass. It was called the All-American Rhythm Section. And they just loved the swing. People love to dance to their music. Great solos like Sweets Edison on the trumpet.
Basie had the most identifiable rhythm section sound probably in the history of jazz.
When you hear it, you automatically knew it was Count. I mean, there was no, there's a lot of big bands sound similar, but not Count. Count was hip.
Count Basie, father, mentor, brother. I met him when I was 13 years old. Submitted almost my first arrangement to him. My first Grammy I got with Count Basie. Basie was more than just a music person to me. He taught me how to grow up as a black man in America, you know. I love him from the bottom of my soul.
After this or now?
Okay.
Okay. Now, we really appreciate that because, like I said, as we went to view this, culture, culture, culture. Now, you still do a lot of jazz. You go out and hear jazz. Could you tell us where you go to hear some jazz?
One of the most popular scenes is the 966 Club, which is at the Fort Greene Senior Citizen Center on Fulton Street off Cambridge Place. And on Friday evenings, generally from October through June. So there's a variety of talent that Sam Penn and his stalwart group, which includes Seydoux, who's one of the producers,
yes,
there's another connection, and Curly.
Is it only for seniors though? Because you said it's at the senior center. What if I wanted to come in? I'm not a senior yet. I hope
they would admit you.
Your money would be your entrance.
The money would be the entrance. Yeah. So people who want to be culturally aware and to maybe meet or see Sydney and Edna. 9-6
and listen to the music at 9-6.
Join us in listening to the music at 966.
966.
Yes.
Anything else you'd like to mention?
The Schomburg Center has a whole range of talent throughout the year, and that's certainly a place to become a member.
Yes, I saw Carmen Lundy there. Oh, she was fabulous.
Okay.
and certainly during the summer, during July and August, Medgar Evers has Jazzy Jazz, and it's on the steps of Medgar Evers, another cultural institution.
Friday evenings.
On Friday evenings. It's free.
What time? Do you know?
7 o'clock.
7 o'clock. I didn't know about that.
And then the different parks, Brower Park, Von King Park, Fort Greene Park, they have Thursday night sessions. They've had Jerry Butler, and they've had quite a number of stars. So you really have to read the newspapers carefully.
Now, Sydney, you were a host for Larry White's award-winning show.
Oh, the Kwanzaa.
The Kwanzaa show. He won a Telly for that.
Yes.
What was that about? Tell us what
that
it was
in 1999. This was the 8th Kwanzaa celebration at the John Henry Clark House, which is Convent Avenue, 141st Street. And we taped the whole show, and I was fortunate enough to conduct interviews at the end with some of its outstanding proponents. Dr. Smith, who's an advocate of open admissions at City College, and Adelaide Sanford, Chancellor, Regent Adelaide Sanford, who's an active part of that house program. And many other individuals. Yeah.
We have a clip here. Maybe we'll see some of that.
No, this clip is the clip that you referred to earlier.
Oh, this
is Edna, where.
Oh, you mean with Sophia Bendelli at Medgar Evers?
I did an interview on that, and the cameraman, you'll never know who the cameraman was.
Oh, who could that be?
Couldn't someone near and dear to us.
Don't say anything until we see it. Yeah. Let's take a look.
Let's take a look at this tape.
Of the criminal justice system. We are meeting with Ms. Sophia Bendelli.
Director of the Women's Center, Medgar Evers College, City University of New York. Ms. Spandelli, thank you for meeting with us today. We would like to get your experiences and interest in the Coalition for Parole Restoration, CPR.
Yes.
And tell us something as to its beginnings and the purposes for its existence.
The CPR, Coalition for Parole Restoration, was founded a year ago out of the concern by family members about the unfair parole practices in New York State. Now, as you know, may know, of course, that parole is one of those loaded issues in New York State, and all we think about was when we read in the New York Post that a parolee has committed a violent crime, and then the politicians jump up and down and so forth. But there are 70,000 prisoners in New York State, and many of them have, in fact, rehabilitated themselves, are remorseful, have family members ready for them to come out. But under Governor Pataki, there's a no parole for violent felons policy. So that the parole board in recent years, at least 5 years, has consistently hit people. That is, a guy goes before the parole board or a woman, and the parole board says, well, due to the nature of your crime, your release will be incompatible with the interests of society. Well, the person committed the crime when he was...
No, we were just looking at Sophia Bendali, and I'm sure there's a lot of people who don't know who she is. Could you please tell us?
She is a treasure. She is the director of the Women's Center for Development at Medgar Evers College. She has been there from the inception, and she is also on the board of visitors of New York State Corrections Association.
Which she was referring to there.
Yes. And so she is just a treasure. That's it.
And remember when I said the circle keeps going around? When I came to Medgar in '88, she was my boss. And has done wonderful things around prisoners, but wonderful supportive things around women and empowering women at Medgar Evers and any place else that she's asked to appear. So she's super, super lady.
Now, Edna, you have a specialty in conflict mediation. I remember you telling me that. Tell us a little bit about
She's breathing, you see that?
I'm inhaling and exhaling. Well, I guess in my life I'm starting a new path, and as a counselor, you're always doing conflict mediation. You're trying to let students understand that it's in their benefit not to go to war with their instructors, and maybe their instructors have a little something to say to them that they've never been exposed to. And it's really experience, and I'm getting ready to take another course in conflict mediation so that I can get that hands-on training. And doing one thing about aging is that the trick is always go towards the future. The piece about the Bible saying, the trick is keep going forward and to the future, and make certain that on your road that you are handing your hand to other people, not necessarily pushing them away, but just handing your hand and having a continuum so that all the people you meet become part of your family and become part of your universe. And so
I will take that to heart. I will take it to heart. Very, very good advice.
And as Satchel Paige said, don't look back.
And the Bible says, when you turn to stone, what he said to his wife, not to look back, and she turned to stone.
Yes,
that's a very, very good thing to do. Look forward. I think we have to remember that everything that happens to us is based on what has happened to us. And then you have to move forward. And so the good things you build and make you feel good, and the bad things you learn from. But you still need to go forward.
I feel like she's speaking directly to you.
Okay. Well, that's good advice. But they as a couple had a very good thing happen to them recently. They had a grandbaby.
Oh yeah.
Yes. Tell us about your new grandbaby. You have 2 grandchildren, right?
Right. We have a 13-year-old in California.
Jared Reed in Englewood.
And now we have Sydney Alexander Moshette. And he is perfect. He is beautiful. He is handsome. He's smart. And he's our grandson.
So what's his name again?
Sydney Alexander.
24th, 4:29 a.m.
Wow.
6 pounds, 15 ounces, 19 inches.
23rd, sweetie. Everything else right.
4:25 in the morning.
Right, and we were all in resident. We were all there, and so it was a wonderful. It's a new life, and life is like that. If you could have it every day to be a new life, a new beginning.
Now, I'm sure we're going to have to be cutting it pretty soon. I want to just restate this particular show that you have in terms of when does it come on?
It comes on the third Fridays at 5:30, called Bedford Stuyvesant and Beyond.
And we can
it's once monthly.
And we can expect Spectrum from you, right? And
Right. I'll be starting out doing specials, and tune in.
okay.
All right.
Well, thank you for watching Producer Profile. I'm Stella Winstead.
And I'm Orville Nelson, and thank you folks so much for being here.
Thank you.
Goodbye.